Greetings, everyone. In this video, I want to talk about my recent trip to Egypt, in part out of my gratitude to so many of you in the community that really supported those of us who are in this journey together, but also because I want to share some of why I find the experience of visiting Egypt so profound and how it can guide us in remembering more deeply who we are, what we're capable of as we're moving into higher consciousness in this time, in this shifting from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, and how we can come back into that remembrance of what it means to live in right relationship with all that is. Let me share some of this journey with you. And part of what was profound in the journey as we moved up the Nile is we were visiting the ancient temple sites and working with how they activate different chakras. So as we were in this journey, it was a journey of healing, of spiritual initiation, of transformation, culminating in that ceremony in the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid on the lunar eclipse. But as we were in this process, we were both working how we could be clearing our chakras to open to higher consciousness and also be impacted by the energies of these ancient temples that remind us of what it means to truly integrate being a spiritual being on this earth, integrating our spirituality and our humanity, coming into that awareness of unity consciousness, what it means to be in balance, in harmony with all that is. I so feel that is what we're needing to remember. We need to connect to that ancient wisdom to bring it forward into the new forms, the new paradigms that we're moving into with the age of Aquarius. And I'll talk more about that as I get into sharing about the journey. But that's part of why I wanted to give you some sense, some overview of our experience in Egypt. So this journey was co-led by me and Kristina Lea with a group of 20 diverse and wonderful people who really bonded together and supported each other in this profound spiritual experience. But let me share some of the sites that we visited and why I think the energies that are coming to us from ancient Egypt are so important in this time. So I'll be showing you a few of the photos from this trip just to give you some sense of the experience and of the incredible energies that are there in Egypt. And it's amazing to be traveling in Egypt and experiencing all the energies of the modern culture while you're visiting these ancient sites, some of which date back 12,000 years. So again, I am so grateful for the support from so many of you who joined in with our ceremony in the Great Pyramid at the time of the lunar eclipse. And I could feel the powerful energies that were emanating because of our bonding together across the globe to send the energy of light and love and peace and healing around the globe in this time of incredible turmoil and transformation on the planet. For me, being in Egypt is a portal into an activation of our intuition, our remembrance, our higher consciousness. Part of why Egypt is so meaningful to me is I do have past life memories of being there thousands of years ago. And I do believe that some of what I learned in those experiences in ancient Egypt are a part of what informed me in my life and in my work in this time. We flew into Cairo and then flew down to Aswan and journeyed up the Nile. And you'll notice that the Nile, which flows north into the Mediterranean Sea, in its formation is like a lotus flower. And it's as if you're moving up to the full bloom of the lotus flower as you move up through the different temples to finally culminate the trip with the Great Pyramids, the Sphinx, and other sites in the Cairo area. We started our journey at Filet Temple, which is a temple that was built around 280 BCE and is honoring Isis, the great goddess, the great mother. Part of what's extraordinary when you're traveling through ancient Egypt is these deities that are honored were, we call them deities, but for the ancient Egyptians, they were the Neteru, the energies of the cosmos, the natural cosmic principles that we need to be in tune with, in right relationship with. So Isis is that energy of creation, of life. Remember that she is associated with the star Sirius. And I do believe that the ancient Egyptians understood that Sirius is our binary star. So she is the great mother, the great goddess, the one who guides us in our evolutionary journey as humanity on the planet. And as you know, Sirius is in alignment with the stars of Orion's belt. And the stars of Orion's belt are what the pyramids on the Giza Plateau were built in alignment with. And Sirius and Orion very much represent that relationship of Osiris and Isis. And Osiris represents the experience of our human life, death, rebirth as we move through our experience on the planet. And Isis is that energy of life and creation and infinity that holds us through our journeys individually and collectively as we move through our experience here as humans in our incarnational journeys. So we started at the temple, at the Filet Temple, to connect to Isis, to ground us, to work with that energy of the first chakra, to support us and know that we were held by her love and presence throughout the journey. As we moved up the Nile, we came to the Temple of Komomo, one of my favorite temples. And this temple is exquisite. It was built between 108 and 47 BCE in the Ptolemy era. So as you experience the different temples in Egypt, you see the ones that were built by the ancient Egyptians. And then as you move into the time of ancient Greece, the Greeks were very influenced by the ancient Egyptians, and some of the temples show a synergy of the interaction between Greece and Egypt. And then you also see some temples that were influenced by the Roman Empire. But part of what's extraordinary about Komomo is you'll notice there are two entrances that lead deeper and deeper into the temple until you come to the Holy of Holies. And the energies that were honored here at Komomo are of Horus. This left side of the temple, the north side of the temple, honors Horus, the child and son of Isis and Osiris. And the other side of the temple honors Sobek, the crocodile god. This temple is located on a section of the Nile that did have the experience of many crocodiles. And think about how crocodiles are a potentially dangerous, life-threatening creature to humans. What's extraordinary to me is this temple, which has incredibly powerful energies of higher consciousness, is showing us how we can deal with those things or those energies or those entities that we tend to fear. So Komomo really supports us in working the energies of our second chakra and how we come into that place of balance and harmony within ourselves as we face those things that frighten us, that are threatening to us, that we tend to get polarized from. Think about how in our modern Western cultures, we deal with things that we're afraid of. We declare war on them, whether it's people that we are at odds with, nations that we fear or that we think are going to harm us. And here I was traveling in Egypt with this group during the horrific ongoing, the traumatic conflict between Israel and Hamas and the turmoil in Gaza, and just the level of projection, hatred, polarization that's continuing to go on there is so tragic and so destructive. And what we see here in Komomo is they're modeling how we can honor what we fear, how we need to face and respect the very things that threaten us or frighten us. And the other side of the temple associated with Horus, the child of Isis and Osiris, grew into the energy of the enlightened one. What it means to live consciously, what it means to make choices from that place of integration, love, wisdom, higher consciousness. So as you work with the energies of Komomo, you're guided to respect and honor what you fear, but choose the path of Horus, choose the way of enlightenment, of following the energy of higher consciousness. And part of the initiation rites at Komomo involved having to face your fear and come into that place of centeredness where you honored your spiritual journey and your humanity without succumbing to getting mired in your wounds, in your fears, in your primal instincts, in your reactivity, in a way that you project and polarize. Komomo is also extraordinary because as you get further back into the temple, there are these chambers for healing. And amazingly, there are 7 chambers for healing, which I think represent the 7 chakras. And then there are images on the walls of surgical instruments, and there are clear records of in-depth, sophisticated understanding of human anatomy and surgical procedures that were done in ancient Egypt, including brain surgery. So part of what's extraordinary when you journey through Egypt and connect with these ancient temples and the ancient wisdom of the culture of Egypt, you realize how advanced ancient cultures really were. That is not the paradigm that we have in academia about our human history and our evolution from our origins in, the beginning of advanced civilization 5,000 to 6,000 years ago in Mesopotamia, with this linear development up to the present where we are at our most advanced. As you explore ancient sites in Egypt, Peru, Göbekli Tepe, South Africa, China, India, you realize that that understanding of history is false, and that in fact we see so much evidence of very advanced civilizations dating back 12,000 years. And some of the cutting edge research being done now in Bosnia is in the Bosnian pyramid is indicating that the evidence of advanced civilizations goes back at least 30,000 years. So we move in our human evolutionary journey through a cycle of consciousness and of understanding and of advanced technology. And the technology in the most ancient sites in Egypt show the highest level of sophistication. As we continue in the journey then and work with the third chakra, the chakra that relates to our sense of identity, how we express ourselves, assert ourselves in the world, we come to Edfu, which is the temple honoring Horus. And Horus was known as the falcon god, again, the son of Isis and Osiris, the enlightened one. So Horus guides us in how to come from that centered place where we've truly integrated our spiritual consciousness with who we are, our sense of identity, and our experience of humanity. I think it's also very significant that you see here at the Temple of Edfu, but also in other temples, this image, which is often seen as the image of a pharaoh being victorious, which certainly resonates with the image of Orion in the sky. And again, the pharaohs and kings were very associated and connected to the stars of Orion, representing the energies of Osiris. We also worked with the energies of the third chakra at Karnak, which is this massive temple complex that covers over 200 acres and was built across a prolonged period of time from 255 BCE to 200 AD. Part of what was extraordinary is there you see the ram-headed sphinxes, which are associated with the age of Aries, and I'll circle back to that in a minute. But we also were able to access a temple that is normally locked, which holds the statue of Sekhmet. The energies in that small temple area honoring her are very powerful. And I truly believe Sekhmet gives us that understanding of how we need to be in right harmony with who we are and how we act in the world, or she will come to set things right. And I think she guides us individually and collectively in how to be in right alignment, right harmony. As we moved up the Nile and worked with the different chakras, the fourth chakra or heart chakra, we were working as we went to the Dendara Temple, which is this exquisite temple honoring the deity Hathor. Hathor is this goddess of love, of nurturance, of childbirth, of holding us in that energy of the nurturing, supportive, loving mother. And you'll notice she's a cow goddess, and this temple is very much in alignment with the energies of the age of Taurus that was honoring the sacred cow and bull, and was originally begun around 2250 BCE in the age of Taurus. Remember, the age of Taurus is from about 4000 BCE to 2000 BC, age of Aries 2000 to 0 AD. Dendara is also extraordinary in terms of these frescoes that are on the ceiling, these paintings, as you enter into the temple. And Barbara Hand Clow told me that there, and shared with me a manuscript that will be published by Barron Company in 2024, written by Jose Barrera about these paintings that depict the seasonal cycle, the daily cycle, and the energies of the precessional cycle. So the ancient Egyptians were so in tune with all of these different energies of the zodiac, of the precessional cycle, the seasonal cycle, the daily cycle, the lunar cycle. And one of the quotes from Jose Barrera, the author of this book that will be coming out, is that the Egyptians tuned up their civilization to the harmonics of the gods. One of the things that you see over and over again as you experience the energies of these temples is the ancient Egyptian wisdom and understanding of how we come into alignment with these cosmic principles, how we need to live in harmony with natural law, that is when we're operating at the highest level of consciousness and creativity and capacity to manifest as we co-create with the energies of the cosmos and divine consciousness, cosmic consciousness. Dendara is also where the Dendara zodiac was located. So it's an exquisite temple and very beautiful. There are also images there of Nut, the sky goddess, who is associated with the Milky Way as it arches over the earth. This is Geb, who symbolizes the earth, and Nut, the sky. And part of what's extraordinary is the ancient Egyptian understanding was that everything is birthed from the womb of Nut, the sky goddess, the Milky Way. And what's amazing is not only is the constellation Orion very, very important to the ancient Egyptians, but so is the constellation Cygnus, which is the great swan or kite hawk that is in the Milky Way just above the dark rift, which is our view of the galactic center. So the womb of Nut is related to Cygnus, this incredible constellation of the swan or the kite hawk. And the ancient Egyptians believed that at the time of death, the Ba, our soul self, which is like the form of a bird, flies to the stars, to Cygnus, where we experience that decision point of, do we move into becoming a part of the stars and joining that energy of immortality, or are we sent back to the earth plane to continue our journey if we haven't resolved the things that we need to resolve in order to move beyond this incarnational cycle? The next temple that is associated now with the fifth chakra is Sakara, which is an extraordinary temple that shows the ancient Egyptian understanding of healing with light and sound. This temple is a sound healing temple, and it was built around 2667 BCE, again in the age of Taurus. You can see the step pyramid of Dozier behind it. You enter through this entryway where it's structured in a way that you go through this vibratory field that is clearing your energy field. And then behind the temple are these sound chambers. If you put your head in this area of these sound chambers, you hear this vibration that is exquisite and is emanating this healing energy. And they had a deep and advanced understanding of healing with both sound and light. Coming back to the Giza Plateau and the great pyramids that are in alignment with the stars of Orion's belt, the sites that impacted me most in ancient Egypt are these sites that actually date back 12,000 years. And I truly believe, as do many others, that the pyramids of Giza were built 12,000 years ago and built in alignment. The Great Pyramid is in alignment with the four cardinal directions. It's built with this sacred geometry. Robert Edward Grant has videos on the pyramids and sacred geometry and the harmonics of the pyramids and how they are these ancient pyramids around the world are encoded with these energies to be reminding us of the precessional cycle and to be guiding us in how we can be in a time of transformation and movement into higher consciousness in this profound time of transition on the planet. So I truly believe those advanced cultures at that critical time in the precessional cycle 12,000 years ago, they knew the catastrophic comet activity that led to the Great Flood, that led to the destruction of most of humanity, and built these sites to help us remember how to reconnect with cosmic consciousness, with sacred geometry, with the energies of the cosmos to move through this time of forgetting, of disconnection, to come back into higher consciousness. Another ancient site is the Osiris Temple, which is honoring Osiris, and it's in alignment with the constellation Cygnus, which again is aligning us with Source, aligning us with the galactic center, with the Milky Way, and that sense of that is where we journey to at the time of death and come back to be birthed into a new life on Earth. What's also extraordinary in this temple are the pools of water that are throughout the temple. There's also an incredible etching of the flower of life on some of the pillars in this temple. And what's amazing is how it is working not only with the energies of the earth and stars, but water. And as we know, and Veda Austin has done some extraordinary work with her master classes talking about with different archaeologists, different experts on how water is so crucial to all ancient sacred sites. And again, part of what's so powerful in her work is that understanding of the consciousness of water and how water is in us. We're 70% water. It's 70% of the earth. It's in all living things and carries that consciousness of the cosmos. You know, Keone Hanalei talks about his understanding of the ancient wisdom of his mood lineage and how they believed that the founders who established life on Earth were these plasma beings who, once they created an atmosphere that was conducive to life, then they transformed themselves into the waters of the earth. So as we can remember, and ancient Egypt reminds us that water is conscious, the stars are conscious, all of life has consciousness, that we can be back in that relationship and in that harmony with all that is. And that is not only when we are at our highest consciousness, but at our greatest capacity to tap into the energies of the cosmos, to be creating and developing these advanced technologies, but advanced technologies that carry that understanding of light and sound and energy and are in tune with the harmonics of the cosmos. Here again is another image of Cygnus that is the constellation that the Osiris Temple was built in exact alignment with the womb of Nut, the source of all that is. So as you journey through Egypt, you're not only seeing these very ancient sites that remind us of how advanced civilization was 12,000 years ago, but you journey through these temples that are also built in the age of Taurus, and then many of them in the age of Aries. And part of what I experienced as I was visiting these temples from these different ages of the precessional cycle is how they resonate with the themes of those ages. Remember that these cultures in the past honored the precessional cycle and knew that those energies of the stars that are on the horizon just before sunrise at spring equinox influence the cultural paradigms that we live in during that age of approximately 2,000 years. And the age of Taurus was about Taurus, the bull, the cow, honoring that energy and the sacredness of the earth and the love and nurturance of the earth and the sacredness of all of life. Then as you move into the age of Aries, you begin to see these ram-headed gods like Amun-Ra, and the sun becomes honored as a primary energy to be deified and idealized. Remember that in the age of Taurus, the moon is exalted. In the age of Aries, the sun is exalted. So you see these rams honoring that energy of Aries. And this is also the time where you begin to see in the temples, you begin to feel how we've gone from the age of Taurus, honoring the sacredness of all of life, into the age of Aries, where we begin to move more into that energy of individuation, of separation, of ego that eventually leads us into war and conflict and division with each other and increasing disconnection from cosmic consciousness. Part of what you see in the art and energies in ancient Egypt, the most ancient sites, there is no honoring of a pharaoh or a king. It's honoring the energies and of sacred geometry, of harmonic alignment with the earth and sky, how as a community we can work with the energies of those sacred sites to remember how we live in this integration of our spirituality and our humanity. In the age of Taurus, you see images like this one of Khafre, who is the pharaoh with the image of Horus right behind him, merged with him. There is this sense for the pharaohs of merger with these cosmic principles, these deities, these energies of cosmic consciousness. But then as you move into the age of Aries, and particularly when you see the energies of Ramses II, you really see the energy of the age of Aries as you begin to see the monuments and sites like Abu Simbel, who honoring Ramses II, who had a very long reign during the age of Aries and truly exemplified that energy of ego and of increasing power over and separation from cosmic consciousness to be in my own experience of power and rulership and capacity to conquer and have power over others. This is an image of him as a child under the protection of Horus. But then when you get to Abu Simbel, the monument he built for himself, he's actually placed himself in the Holy of Holies in association with the other gods. So you have Ptah, Amun, Ramses II, and the god Ra. So he has now elevated himself to be as a god. So as you journey through Egypt, you see this journey of our historical experience of humanity as we move through the precessional cycle and as we move particularly into the age of Aries and into this time of increasing division and separation and disconnection from cosmic consciousness, which has led to increasing disharmony, chaos, conflict, war, environmental destruction. We disconnect from the consciousness of the life around us. We disconnect from alignment with the earth and sky and that understanding of the principles of the cosmos. But as we can connect with the Great Pyramids, as we can connect with the Sphinx, that was also most likely built 12,000 years ago, to be in alignment, it's facing due east, to be in alignment with the stars of Leo at the beginning of the age of Leo, which was around 10,000 BCE. We can, as we see these sites and connect with those most ancient sites in Egypt, we can begin to remember what we once knew and how we can come back into that remembrance of who we truly are, of what we're capable of being, to guide us to open our spiritual consciousness, to remember our capacity to move beyond the paradigm of this materialistic time, to come back into that awareness of spiritual consciousness, of what it means to live in harmony and in alignment with the consciousness of all that is. So I hope you enjoyed that overview of our journey, and we hope to do another one perhaps in the fall of 2024. So if you're interested, keep an eye out for any posting on my website or in my newsletter, or let me know if you're interested. So as you experienced this sharing of my journey, I hope it supports you in your own spark of remembrance. We all hold within us, in our soul selves, that memory, that awareness of the power of our consciousness, our capability to move into that balance of the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine, and into that awareness of the consciousness of all that is, and how to live in alignment with natural law, how to come back into unity consciousness, where we realize we're a part of the oneness of all that is, and that we can move beyond separation, polarization, division, destruction. We're at such a critical choice point on the planet. And as we're moving into the age of Aquarius, and I truly believe that as we experience Pluto's movement back into Aquarius beginning in January, we're going to feel that heightened energy of what it means to move into this new age, what we're capable of as we move into the new paradigms that can support us in tapping into that ancient wisdom, that remembrance of oneness, of how to live in consciousness, in our awareness of our interconnectedness with all that is, not to go back in time, but to support us in making this evolutionary leap into higher consciousness, so that we can, in fact, co-create a new earth together that is about unity in the midst of diversity, that is about co-creating a way to be in right harmony with all of the life around us, how to be in right alignment with the earth and sky and cosmic consciousness. This is who we are. This is what we're capable of. And together we need to energize each other to come back into that alignment, so that we can emanate the energies of love and light and healing and transformation to support the collective consciousness in moving into these new paradigms, this new age, to co-create a new earth together. Thank you for sharing in this journey with me. Thank you for being a part of the ceremony and the Great Pyramid. Thank you for being a part of this journey of transformation and of movement into higher consciousness together to support this evolutionary leap for us all. Blessed be.